Hello, true believers, and welcome back to another edition of BK's Bullets. My name is Jim, and today I'll be taking a look at another DC animated film classic, this time 2013's The Flashpoint Paradox. Now, before I get started, you guys know the drill. I want you guys to comment on this video if you think my review is good, which it's going to be good because this was an amazing, amazing experience. But I also want you guys to subscribe. And while you're doing that, do yourself a favor and go check out the video Brent just did of the Todd McFarlane's Kickstarter Spawn figure that he got. I am so jealous. If they make a medieval Spawn variant of this, I will buy it and I will open it on this very channel. I'm so excited. That figure is really, really cool. But he's got some other great content too, so do him a solid and subscribe to the channel, okay? Now, as you guys know, every week I randomly go through Brent's Voodoo catalog of pretty much every DC cartoon ever made ever. And I just randomly pick them. Sometimes I watch them out of order. This clearly being the case this week. This is the Flashpoint Paradox. I had watched the sequel to this a couple weeks ago, and there's a playlist, by the way, if you want to go through and watch my reviews on all of these. I encourage you to do so because obviously it's me and I'm going to promote myself, but because there's some good stuff in there, and you can see as I just dabble in different periods of time, totally at random. It's always interesting to see what we'll stumble upon. Some of them are hits, some of them are misses. This one's definitely a hit. And I want to start off actually this week by listing off some of the amazing cast in this. I've always been impressed with DC's ability to get a star-studded cast. And because of the nature of the Flashpoint Paradox, and because we're going to this alternate universe in which the Atlanteans and the Amazons are fighting one another in this galactic, not galactic, I don't know. Maybe galactic's a strong word. Worldwide war where everything's going to hell. You have all these different variants of people, and you have a lot of superheroes that aren't really featured suddenly become more, upfront, like Grifter. Like, I remember reading the Wildcats comic, so Grifter's in here. I'm like, what's this guy? I didn't even know that guy was DC, first of all. But you have like two variants of Superman. You have different Batman, obviously. In this variant, Batman is the dad and stuff. But the voice cast is insane. Justin Chambers, Michael B. Jordan, Kevin McKidd, Carrie Hughes, Kevin Conroy, Nathan Fillion, Ron Perlman, Sam Daly, Jennifer Hale, just to name a small list of some of the insane voice actors. What a phenomenal treat this is. If nothing else, just to see and hear this star-studded cast bring our favorite superheroes to life. So what this whole story is about, it is according to Wikipedia. I haven't read the source material. That's part of the joy of this, is I have really no idea what I'm watching. I'm just kind of stumbling into it. But it says this is a direct-to-video animated adaptation of the 2011 comic book crossover called Flashpoint by Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert. So in this story, The Flash saves his mom, although we don't really see that. And I think that's my biggest hang up with this. I'll get to that in a second. But because of him saving his mother, he screws everything up. And kind of like that movie, The Butterfly Effect, you have these ripples in time. And as a result of Flash saving his mother, a lot of things happen very differently in this universe than it did in the past. Some of the notable ones for sure. In Crime Alley, it's Bruce Wayne who gets murdered, and his father, Thomas Wayne, becomes evil Batman, who uses guns, by the way, and owns a casino, and he's kind of I wouldn't say he's a bad guy, but he's definitely not a good guy. Superman does not land in Smallville. He lands near somehow a government facility where he is kept under 24/7 kryptonite beams, and he's like a very thin, scrawny, frail-looking kind of dude. So you could start to see already they're kind of the same, but they're different. Hal Jordan never gets the Green Lantern ring. He's just a dude. So this is all because of Flash, and he screws everything up. But what frustrates me about this, and I was starting to allude to it a moment ago, is they don't ever really show you that in this in the story. It just happened. You're just seeing the aftermath of it. It's not till the very, very end do you kind of see that maybe Flash did this, but we didn't see it. It was like off screen. And I think that a result of that kind of dampens the impact, because while Flash is trying to help, you're not really made aware of it until the end that he's actually the problem. I think it would have been a more interesting story, and maybe this is the way in the comic books, I don't know. I think it would have been a much more interesting story if we saw Flash do this and then saw the repercussions and then saw him try to have the best of both worlds, ultimately realizing he could either choose his mother or, normal life as we know it. We don't really see that until the very, very end, and that choice isn't really made on his behalf. It's made for him, because the world's essentially ended by the time he realizes he has to go back in time. And I think that that's where this story takes a small hit. But outside of that criticism, and that's really the only criticism I can give, this is a phenomenal, phenomenal story. I love the Elseworld stuff. I love seeing variants of our favorite superheroes wearing different costumes, different looks, different creeds, whatever, just how they would evolve if they were somewhere else. Because Batman's been around since, I don't know, like the 20s, or, well, he just had his 85th birthday. So, yeah, okay, maybe 40s or something. There's only so much you can do with Batman. But now you're introducing this variant of his father, a new play on the character. I'm very interested. You have the Justice League, very stoic, Aquaman, big tough guy, and, Wonder Woman, she's tough. But what if they're evil and they're fighting each other and they're using their armies for evil? That's a much more interesting story than kind of really anything else going on right now. So I love these kind of stories naturally, just because I think it infuses so much new life into these characters. And outside of that, even with the moment-to-moment scenes in this, I feel like they use the characters very differently. A really good example of that is the very opening scene where Flash is fighting Zoom. And Zoom has put these detonators on this group of scrub supervillains called the Rogues. Captain Cold, I remember, and I remember the Captain Boomerang, but the other ones I wasn't aware of, or I didn't recognize them. But anyways, they all have bombs on them. They're about to explode. And the Justice League has to separate and try to defuse the bombs all in their own way. And I thought this was really cool because you see each member of the Justice League doing something different. Aquaman summons these microbes to eat the bomb, so he submerges the guy underwater to do it. Batman uses his intellect to slowly dismantle it. Superman, being the freaking G unit that he is, just cups the bomb in his hand and it explodes in his hand, which was really, really cool. So it's stuff like that where they just infused new life into the characters just in the way they were used, which I really appreciated. One of the things I've noticed with a lot of these animated films and these reviews that I do for this channel is you start to see a lot of the same kind of tropes over and over again. And I made fun of this, I think it was last week or maybe the week before. Every time you see Bane, the first thing Batman does is cut that little rope off from his head to his arm, right? So you see a lot of the same kind of action scenes, and it's like, oh, okay, this is the part where, to alleviate this part of the fight, our superhero is going to do the same thing. This is where Wonder Woman uses her bracers like she's done every single other time. This is the part where Superman uses his cold breath to whatever. I liked that in this movie, primarily because you're seeing a different take on heroes. You're seeing them fight their way differently out of situations, which was a real treat to watch. And I really did appreciate that. I have to give a major shout out to the fact that there were so many cameos in this of superheroes that I kind of sort of recognized, most notably being my beloved Deathstroke. Makes a very brief appearance in here, but there are a lot of other heroes and villains in here that are kind of working their way through this war between the Atlanteans and the Amazons. And it's interesting to see where their allegiances fall and kind of what their motivations are. They typically have a different costume design and slightly different intentions in this alternate universe than the normal universe. And I really did appreciate that. It was a fun movie to watch, and I highly recommend it. And like a couple other ones now, we did get a post-credit scene again, which was cool. This is something that, this is 2013 when this came out, so it kind of started to figure out that post-credit scenes were neat, a little bit of teaser for kind of what's to come. And understanding really that, the post-credit scene absolutely leads into the sequel. It makes sense and kind of teases what's going on, and I like that. This does have an official motion picture soundtrack, which came out. Although I have to say, unlike some of the other films I've seen, there wasn't really any notable score or soundtrack behind this that I felt really amplified the experience. I think I was way more impressed with the voice cast than with the music. And I think that's really where this film shines. The last thing I'll say before I wrap up this video is I was really impressed with how badass they made Cyborg. After seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, I really like Cyborg. I've always liked Cyborg. I know he doesn't get a lot of love. I've always thought he was a phenomenal hero. And it was so cool to see him featured so prominently in that alternate universe. Somehow he was huge. He was like 9 feet tall. He had this giant like Samus Aran like robot blaster arm. He was just like a militarized war machine, very menacing. He held his own for a very long time in that final conflict, which I thought was really, really cool as well. So shout out to Jeff Johns for writing in a actually really cool version of Cyborg, because the guy just never gets a lot of love. So I would love to see, and I'm sure there are other films or comics on this, that other universe previously to, obviously at the end the whole world explodes, but right before that happens, those guys were really interesting. I would love to spend more time with Thomas Wayne as Batman. I think he was very, very interesting. I would love to spend more time with skinny Superman, trying to figure out where he belongs in this world. I guess it'll remain to be seen for me, just a total noob, as to where this all goes, if anywhere. But I really did enjoy this ride, and I thought this was a phenomenal film, and I can't say enough good things about it. So with that, I will be wrapping up this video. I hope you guys found it informative. Stay tuned for yet another week. We'll have another film review for you guys next weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the funny pages.